One of the best ways to grow your business rapidly is to populate that business with A-player talent. And an A-player is a person who sits in the top 10% of available candidates in a role for a salary. We're talking about the very best available candidate for the role in your business at the salary that you're offering. Now, when you look at A-players, they make a massive difference to your business. The more A-players you have in a business, the faster that business can actually progress. And that's because A-players are the people who solve problems rather than bring problems to you as the owner. They're the people who perform at a level that other people can't perform at. And the other aspect about A-players is they lift the level of performance amongst everybody in the business. And the reason for that is there's a cliche. A-players attract A-players, B-players attract B-players, and as I like to say, C-players simply wreck your business. I think many SME owners think that hiring A-players is out of their reach because the employment market's a really competitive market. So they think that these people are either too expensive or just don't want to come and work for their business. And I think another aspect that maybe many SME owners think but don't necessarily say is they don't necessarily believe that they deserve to have A-players in their business. And I would say that's probably one of the most important realizations to make. It's like you deserve, as an SME owner, you deserve to have A-player talent wall to wall as much as any other business does. So I think it's really important that you go out and pursue those people. When you're appealing to an A-player, they're really looking to the future. They're not looking to today. So if you can articulate to an A-player, firstly, absolute clarity about what the role today entails, and that's, what activities they're required to do, what outcomes that they need to deliver, and what the scope of their role is. That's a very important aspect of hiring an A-player. As importantly, A-players are typically not coming to your business, and they don't want to necessarily work in your business for the job or the business as it is today. An A-player wants to think about the future. So if you can demonstrate to an A-player that you're building something and that what you're building is important, you're solving a real problem and you're helping people, that's very, very appealing to A-player talent. Many people have this belief that A-players don't want to work in an SME, and I think that's absolutely not true. And if you have this belief that an A-player doesn't want to work for your business, you'll typically design a role, you'll create an ad, and you'll undertake your entire recruitment process as though you're looking for a B-player. So it's really important to stop, think about specifically the type of person you're looking for. What does that A-player actually look like? Write the ad to talk to that person. Talk about the vision of the business in the ad. You've got to pitch the business as much as you're pitching it to potential clients. You need to pitch it to potential A-player talent as well. So it's really important to think A-players don't just strike small to medium-sized enterprises out of their thinking when they're looking for a job. An A-player will strike out a business that doesn't articulate a very strong vision and strong clarity around that role. And that's typically because an A-player will lift the pace of the business. A-players want to get things done, so they're very focused on getting outcomes. An A-player will take the pressure off the business owner because they do as much thinking as the business owner. And in many instances, an A-player is going to think about the place they work in the same way and with the same passion that the actual business owner does. Look at sporting teams. When you bring superstar recruits into a sporting team, the entire team lifts. It's no different in a small to medium-sized enterprise. It's no different in any business. A-players lift the level. They lift the standard as to what to expect. And I think the other thing, again, not often spoken about, but you bring A-players in, it tends to reject C-players. C-players look at A-players and they think, oh damn, is that the standard? Is that what I've got to be doing? And they'll either lift themselves, or if they don't want to or can't lift, they'll tend to exit the business, and that's actually a healthy thing. So this whole process of lifting the business by virtue of bringing in really high quality talent happens organically just by you bringing in those A-player people. When you bring A-player talent into your business, you're going to find that you as the business owner are going to have a whole lot more time to lead. You're not stuck down in the weeds thinking about all of the little bits and pieces that have to happen. You're actually really spending your time casting your thoughts forward and thinking about plans, thinking about risks, thinking about opportunities, identifying clients that you want to work with. The clients that you currently work with are going to notice. They're going to notice that your business is providing a level of service that it's not previously provided its clients. And generally what happens is that you're able to spend the time building a business that has genuine value rather than rolling up to work each day and just making sure the wheels turn around. You know, when you advertise a role, you're going to get tens, multiples of tens, and sometimes hundreds of applicants. If you, as the person who's doing the hiring, simply looks at a resume and bases it on what you like versus what you need in the business, that becomes a very difficult platform to hire an A player from. As I mentioned before, you've got to have a genuine belief that you deserve A player talent. If you think that you don't deserve this A player talent, you put an ad in the market, you get an A player rolling up and you interview them, you're going to interview them with this "oh shucks" kind of almost I'm intimidated by this candidate mode in your mind, and you need to be thinking that you're as good as this person that you're looking to recruit. That's a very important thing, that you think that you deserve to hire these A player superstars that are in the market. You need to be able to explain to an A player what the job is today. That's an important thing because they come for the job, but they'll stay for the future. And if you can't articulate what the future of this role looks like, they're not likely to take it because there's going to be an abundance of opportunities for this superstar to go to. You've got to position yourself at the absolute best. And I think the final thing is there's safety in just settling. If a candidate comes along who looks like he can do the job and you're okay with them and you don't feel intimidated by that person, there's a bit of a safety in that. So you've got to stretch yourself as a leader to be comfortable looking for and hiring these A player superstars, because it takes a level of intensity to lift. I think the final reason that people don't tend to hire A player talent is that settling for a B or a C player more often than not feels safer than stretching yourself and stretching your own management and leadership capabilities, which is what you're going to need to do in order to be able to hire, manage and lead an A player. If you stay stuck in this mindset of I don't deserve A player talent, so to flip that mindset, I would stop. I'd think about the goals that I initially set out to achieve. I'd think about how quickly I wanted to achieve it and how easily I wanted to achieve it. You don't need more helpers. You need more weapons. And A players are those weapons that you need in order to help your business achieve the goals that you'd initially set out to achieve.